I'm going to throw a slash marker in there. Let's see what else we got here. There's been some good posts this week for sure. Am I the asshole for blocking my neighbor from parking his car in front of my house? Oh man, this comes up in Vancouver all the time. I'm sure there's going to be more info. Sorry, I had to scroll down. This happens in Vancouver all the time. People will like literally put a sign on their front lawn that's like, please do not park here. I need to park here. This is my house. And I'm like, it's the street. I'm sorry to tell you. Like, I mean, I would love to also park in front of my house at all times, but you don't, it's a public road. I got to go to maybe like my friend's house. My friend lives across the street. I'm going to park there if that's the best parking spot. That's how she goes. Plus, you got a driveway, usually, or like a garage. And I'm like, you can't, what do you got, like 6 cars? Get over it. Anyway, so maybe I'm the asshole, but let's see. We'll see. I've lived in my home. Oh, let's start with the title, of course. Oh, if you block someone's driveway, that's a different story. That makes YTA for sure. Am I the asshole for blocking my neighbor from parking his car in front of my house? I've lived in my home since it was constructed 15 years ago. There's 12 houses on our street with 6 houses on each side of the street. If one of the houses always lies and all adjacent houses must tell the truth, how many houses do you need to ask a question to in order to determine the correct answer? All the houses are 3 or 4 bedrooms with 2-car garages. My house is the 3rd from the corner of a public road. 3 or well, is yours 3 or 4? I would need to, apparently I need to know all of the pertinent details. Is it hardwood? Is it carpeting? What does your banister look like? Do you have a wooden banister? Do you have a metal banister? This is going to change everything, man. Okay, hold on. I'm assuming that the geography is relevant. They're 3rd from the corner on a public road. The unwritten rule on our street is if you need to park on the street, you park in front of your house and not someone else's. Makes a lot of sense. Of course, if you have a get-together or workers coming over, no one minds if you park in front of their house as long as you're not making a habit of it. Also seems reasonable. The house 2 doors down from me, which is on the corner with the public road, sold. New people move in, 6 adults living in a 3-bedroom house. They each have their own vehicle. Okay, that's fucked. 6 cars, 1 house. I can see where things start to get a little dramatic here. I wake up the next morning to put the trash out. There's a car parked in front of my house. There's 3 other cars parked on the street, 1 in front of my next door neighbors, 1 in front of each of the 2 houses on the opposite side of the street. I was a bit annoyed but brushed it off expecting it will be moved soon. It wasn't moved for 3 days. Apparently the new people have the garage packed, so they park 2 cars in the driveway and 4 on the street. I keep my Corvette in the garage, but I keep my old beat up in the driveway along with my wife's car. After the car moved, I parked my truck on the street in front of my house. Later that evening, someone rings my doorbell. The guy asks if I can move my truck into my driveway so he can park in front of my house. I tell him I can, but I'm not going to. He says they have 6 cars and not enough room to park on their property. I tell him it sounds like they bought a property too small for their needs and shut the door. Am I the asshole? Obligatory based owned, because there's a multifaceted issue. This is kind of like, this is my bread and butter, because there's no legality being violated here whatsoever that makes it a cut and dry situation. It's exclusively in those blurred lines in the margins of unspoken human behavior and, as they've said it themselves, unwritten rules, right? There's no reason he should have to move his truck in order for them to be able to park. That's for sure. And I also feel like 6 cars to 1 home is, you should be able to buy whatever you want to buy, I think, as long as you can, support it without inconveniencing others. But at some point, when you got 6 cars in 1 house, surely you gotta can you carpool or so? Can you sell 2 cars and then carpool a little bit? It just seems a little crazy to me. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, that's it at a high enough level of cars where you're like, that's audacious. Like, one car per person in the home. Like, you really can't double up at all. Regardless, I digress. Now, so OP, I think, doesn't have to mess with things at all. They're well within their rights here. Can I ask you a question though? And this is where maybe we're going to get into some trouble. Why, if he can park his car in the driveway and in the garage, why is he so annoyed that they're parking in front of his house? It sounds like his parking situation was totally fine. It annoys him that they're parking their car in front of his property, which I can understand. Like, I think I would look out and be like, whoa, that car's been here for a while. Hey, come on. But it seems like parking his own truck on the street is just something he did to be like, hey, park someplace else. Because it's like nobody takes advantage of me, even if it doesn't hurt me at all. So I kind of see this. I don't know, man. I mean, I was gonna say is everybody sucks here, but in spite of what I said about the fact that I don't think he should care, I will also say, like, I don't think he's an asshole for taking the parking in front of his own place. I mean, even if he didn't want to park his car in the driveway and he wanted to just park his car on the street anywhere, he's not really an asshole. It's a little rude, maybe. OP has 3 cars in a 4-bedroom house for one person. Well, I don't know if it's one person for one, but also if he's got 2 cars or 3 cars, but he keeps them all on his property, he's not inconveniencing anybody else. He said he has a wife. Oh, there you go. I mean, I don't care if you have like 1,000 cars, as long as they're like, in the garage or maybe parked in front of your place. Anyway, it's, I think if anything, I think you're kind of an asshole. I understand the economic reality of the situation, I suppose, but you're kind of an asshole for moving 6 people into a 3-bedroom house and everybody has their own vehicle. Like, that's just too... Is there too many cars? TMC? Like, I don't even know if they're jerks. I just feel like they're... That's a TMC. That's a too many cars situation. I'm going to go a step further. I think the guy who asked, hey, can you move your truck so I can park my car there, is actually the super asshole. Because why don't you just park further away? Like, you don't get priority access to the parking spot that's closest to your house just because of the fact that, like, it's closest to your house. You know what I mean? Well, I mean, you could use that against the Corvette guy, I guess. But, why you're inconveniencing, or you're going to be inconvenienced because you have too many cars to fit into your own property. Just get with this. Is a Vancouver special, man. You know how many times, like, I look for street parking to go somewhere, and the closest street parking I can find is, like, a 3 or 4 minute walk away? That's what happens when you got a TMC situation. You got too many damn cars. OP didn't have to be a jerk about it, though. You know what? You know why, in my opinion, that he had to Ben Shapiro this guy? Because he's in the right on a logical level. The argument flows, I think, that he's in the right. There's no reason he has to not park his car there. But there's absolutely no, like, moral reason that he did it. So he had to, like, burn. He had to get a burn in there and be like, I've owned you with facts and logic. Because otherwise, if his neighbor was just like, yeah, but you're not really using it. Like, why do you care so much? Then he would have to look inside of himself and be like, that's a good point. I don't know why. I guess it's because all this stuff, the the 3-bedroom house. It's all because I don't like what's going on in here. I try to project this image of rugged individualism and it ends up expressing itself in toxic ways, like needlessly parking my car on the street in such a way to inconvenience others just because I thought they were taking advantage of me, when really they probably didn't pay any mind to it and were just trying to do the thing that was most frictionless for their own existence. Anyway, too many cars though. Like way too many. Come on, 6 cars, 3 people. Or 6 cars, 3 bedrooms. Am I the asshole for not wanting alcohol at my wedding and suggesting alternatives? Is there any way this could possibly be the asshole? It's your wedding. And you can do whatever you want. Wait, it says asshole. Okay, I gotta know more. How did this happen? How badly did you mess up that you end up being the asshole in this situation? So I, male 22, and my fiance, female 22, just got engaged. We live in Southern California and plan to get married next June. The issue is catering. Since I have extended family in Canada and friends in New Zealand, I'd like to pay for a decent reception. My fiance agrees. However, the problem is that she said we need to have alcohol at the wedding. I drink extremely rarely, and my immediate family barely does. Also, my extended family doesn't really drink. My fiance said her friends and family would expect us to have alcohol because it's the thing to do. I suggested we have people bring their own, or we can have an after party with drinks. But she said that if we do not have alcohol, some people might not even come, and it is an absolute necessity. I've just noticed the edit is 40 times longer than the actual post itself. That's crazy. This is it's too far. Am I the asshole for not wanting to have to spend thousands of extra on alcohol, for also thinking we should go without alcohol anyway? I don't want people to come to a special wedding to celebrate with us and just be there for the alcohol. I've been pushing back, but she's very angry with me. Thoughts? This is going to be good. Because right now, not the asshole, just, the kind of thing that comes up when two people have like a different idea for what an event's going to look like. I don't think your fiance is necessarily out of line for suggesting, different people have different ideas of what a wedding is going to look like, right? Like some people are going there to see their nephew get married and they're 87 years old. Some people are going there because they went to college with the groom and they're there to see their friend off, but also to get schmammied. So different people are going to have different ideas of what a wedding is going to look like, I'm sure, including the bride and the groom. I certainly don't. I think if you have people who are like, I'm not going to come to the wedding unless there's alcohol, then those people, you should not be paying, $150 to $300 per head to cater a dinner and get a venue for them in the first place. Anybody that would not come to your wedding simply because it's dry is probably somebody that shouldn't be invited in the first place. But anyway, so far, seems fairly pedestrian. Edit. The family and friend from far away have an interesting relationship with alcohol, as in some past alcoholics, some against it in general, should have cleared that up. I understand. Again, if you have either teetotalers or, recovering alcoholics in your family, that would make it an even more tight situation. Further edit. The way we were going before alcohol came up was we were going to rent a community center and have an outside caterer come in for the reception. The ceremony is at a different close-by place. I'm from SoCal, and so everything price-wise is God tier now, lol. My fiance just graduated college and is starting subbing. I'm entering my senior year. I work or will work 40 to 50 hours a week, and she works hard too. The money aspect is that we are trying to pay off all our loans by marriage and afford all these other things. She wants a dog, nice apartment, etc., which I totally support. Our budget for the whole wedding is $10K. Not because we're frugal, but because that's literally all we'd have for it. So my money concern is that since we were able to get everything, including photography, food, cake, dress, etc., getting alcohol too, since the community center would also then require insurance and security guards, since alcohol, ridiculous, I know, would push us way over. You say it best when you say nothing at all. To be honest, I'm surprised by the absolute necessity of alcohol, but if that's the culture, I get it. I'm down to do it, but now I'm just in a hard place. I looked it over. The community center requires alcohol to be from behind the bar, so we can't do bring your own. Yeah, like, you're only 22 years old, but duh. Like, I don't, if you're renting a venue for a wedding, I think they're like, hey, you cool if we just like bring like our own drinks and food as well? So we can't do bring your own. Should I look for a completely different venue or caterer to go with the catering drink options? The starting price of a caterer we're going with paid bar would be around $4,000 for open bar. They don't do paid bar for some reason. I apologize to my fiance. Thanks to everyone for the comments and concerns. None of this is that bad. I thought this was going to be explosive, but it's actually like a pretty normal situation. I'm very surprised to see that that they've been listed as the asshole. We accidentally went to the normal subreddit. This is not the filtered one, so I got to read the comments. So does your desire not to drink supersede her right to serve alcohol? Maybe if alcohol was a trigger for you, if you had a drinking problem, but just out of a sense of frugality, this seems to jump into the realm of just being cheap. You're the asshole. I've never disagreed with like a top comment more in my entire life. I mean, like, I'm why it's so dramatic. Your desire to not drink supersede her right to serve alcohol. Look, it sounds like it's not just a desire to not drink. It's also a desire to, save maybe $4,000 on the catering, which is a concern with some relevance, I say. That being said, I will also say, if your fiance, if her dream wedding has always involved like some kind of component of alcohol. I mean, that's why you shouldn't have brought it to the internet in the first place, but I'm glad you did. It's a situation you shouldn't have let Reddit get involved. I don't see why people seem to think they need an open bar. In the UK, paying for drinks at weddings is pretty common, or the couple put X amount behind the bar, and then the guests pay for themselves once that runs out. In the USA, it would be between very and extremely tacky to have guests buy a drink from the bar at your wedding. They could just serve beer if they wanted, or serve a limited amount of drinks. I've been to both, but never a wedding that asked me to pay for the drinks. Dude, every day that goes on, I'm so happy that Kate and I basically just got married by an officiant at a restaurant, and then ate lunch and took a nap. I guess I should, it's not like, oh, we made such an incredible decision. I guess we're just lucky that we were both aligned when it comes to that to begin with. But I can't imagine, the idea that it's tacky to buy drinks at an open bar, or to ask people to buy drinks at your wedding. I mean, I went to Josh's wedding, okay? There were 200 people there, maybe more. You're catering a dinner plus drinks for 200 people. I don't mind. I'm first off, I'm very thankful that Josh invited me and invited Kate as well. But then, some of the people that were there, you're I don't mind catering a dinner for my uncle and my aunts and my cousins and of course my parents and my close friends. But then when you get into this person, they met you when you were 12, they were 50. It's your great uncle Brian. Also, your great uncle Brian had just started dating somebody 3 months ago. And by the way, she's got an 8-drink minimum. You're at that point, you're maybe paying $200 for this lady you've never met to eat and drink on your dime. I don't. I'm not saying, I think it's too easy to be oh, you're just being cheap. I'm this is a lot, man. Open bar doesn't need to be expensive, though. Ours was $500, including a bartender. It's not expensive when consider the amount. But it's it must scale, right? It's not there's it's $500, and then if people drink $2,000 worth of alcohol, you just got, everything for 75% off. Yeah, have you considered that everything is god tier prices here in SoCal? LOL, by the way. Anyway, just moving, just moving. Yeah, what about a cash bar with like 2 drink tokens? That doesn't buy. I don't mind paying for like, somebody I don't know to have like 2 Johnny Walkers or something like that. But if somebody comes up to, they're drinking 15 shots of vodka and they barely know us, I'm like, that's where I'm just wondering why it's such a norm. That being said, for the record, if Kate and I ever like renew our vows and have like a more traditional ceremony, we're not gonna cheap out. We're gonna maybe even 3 drink tokens per guest, and I think we could invite upwards of like 8 to 12 people. So I'm just saying, I might be a little bit of a hypocrite, but no, chat's definitely not invited. People are saying it's your wedding, it's your choice, but it's also your fiance's wedding, and she wants the alcohol. I don't drink, but I know people expect alcohol at weddings. They get crazy about it. Your fiance likely just wants to make her guests happy. It's hard to give a judgment on this. I think that's fair. That all seems fair to me. I don't think that either OP or OPGF are the asshole necessarily. Sounds like she just wants to put on a wedding that's going to be amenable for the people that she invites. What is the asshole, I think, here is the fact that wedding culture, at least in North America, is that, like, there absolutely has to be an open bar. Otherwise, like, what a disaster. I think a cash bar is, like, I mean, isn't a cash bar, like, the most implicitly fair situation to begin with? If you don't want to drink, you don't pay. If you want to get hammered, you pay through the nose. And also, I mean, just when you look at it through, like, and we're not even doing React Court here now, I'm just going off, but like the couple is already facing like a substantial financial burden for throwing an event that's basically like we repeat a couple of words, like we're doing the cha-cha slide, then we eat a meal, then we're doing the cha-cha slide. And then you're like, by the way, pay for everybody to get hammered. And then you're like, well, this seems like a little much. They're like, I bought you a bread maker, so you got to pay for me to get hammered. Otherwise, it would be tacky. You don't want to be tacky, would you? If anything, you should be throwing a cash bar to be, and like, hey, $2 from every drink purchase goes back to the bride and groom for throwing this sick party. But I don't think the world's ready for that one yet. I don't know if planet Earth is ready for this one. Also, you're 22. Asking a 22-year-old to pay for an open bar. Like, they only legally were able to start drinking like a year ago. It seems like they're committing a crime. They went from not being able to buy alcohol to being able to buy an unlimited amount of alcohol. Anyway. Am I the asshole for getting sad at my boyfriend because he asked me to knock every time I come in? Oh, man. oh, dude. Oh, deleted. I gotta know. Deleted. Well, I'm not gonna pry any deeper than that, but it's gone. They even deleted their account, man. Am I the asshole for not inviting my fiance's siblings to the wedding? Asshole. Dude, a lot of wedding-based ones, too. I'm not going to go into the Wayback Machine and screw them. To figure out, you thought you could delete this shit? Absolutely not. I guarantee the kind of person that would ask their girlfriend to knock before they entered is the kind of person that probably is a turbo Redditor, and I bet they found it. That's my headcanon. Comments always have a backup. They keep the MFing thing on them. My fiance, 34, and I, 28, are getting married in February of next year. We have always liked the idea of a child-free wedding. Look, so I just spent like 15 minutes being like, it's your wedding, you can do whatever you want. Now you've come up with like the one counter example. Let me say, okay, you can have a child-free wedding if you want. Okay? If you want it to be like adults only for whatever reason, more power to you. However, you should invite like 9 people. Because otherwise, you're going to end up like if we got invited to a child-free wedding, they were like no kids. Like now, I'm like, just to go to your wedding, I gotta like pay a babysitter like $100. No kids at the ceremony is strange. I mean, the thing is, we'd have to be like close friends, for me to accept that. So we'd be much more likely to just say no anyway. Like, here's what I'm getting at, okay? Now, my fiance comes from a large family and has 6 siblings under the age of 18. First off, holy shit. You have 6, your fiance's 34, they have 6 siblings under the age of 18? That's crazy. By the way, you have the right to do whatever you want to do in that realm, but my God, that's kind of staggering. 6 siblings at all is a decent number for sure. 6 under the age of 18 is kind of crazy. Anyway, what was I saying? I gotta read the whole thing, okay? But yeah, I think if you're getting married and you're like, oh, we're not having kids, so I'm not inviting 6 of your younger siblings. Yeah, that's kind of a dick. Can you not just have like a? I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things where I'm like, you can't have your cake and eat it too, or at least it's gonna be hard. If you've always wanted to have a child-free wedding and simultaneously you have 6 siblings between the ages of 9 and 18, you are a little stupid and naive, quite frankly. Unless you're going to elope to Las Vegas get married by Elvis with nobody in the audience, like how are you going to get that one accomplished? Anyway, we are also having an open bar, and while we don't plan on being sloshed, we can't speak for others, wink wink, so we just don't think it's the best environment for kids to be in. Plus, parents deserve a night of fun. Yeah, I've always thought that as a parent, I deserve a night of fun where the insinuation is I will get so irresponsibly intoxicated that it wouldn't be a good environment for children to be in. Why would we want children to be at a dance where alcohol is served? What are you going to do? Are you going to... what, are you going to start taking craps on the floor? I don't understand. Anyway, by the way, thank you also for choosing as well for the... And I get that I'm biased as we have a child, but thanks for choosing for me that I can't just... bring my child and then, one of us chooses to be the DD and the other one can cut loose a little bit. Instead, it's literally not allowed. Really appreciate that. Anyway, our first battle was choosing not to have my goddaughter, who is 7, as the flower girl because of our no child policy. You're going to get there's no exception made for the flower girl? You're going to have a flower girl who's over... At your child-free wedding, you're going to have a flower girl, but she's got to be over the age of 18. It's a job that is predominantly done by, like, a 4-year-old. Okay. Now, she was upset because of our no-child policy. What an asshole. My sister was upset at first about her daughter being left out, but finally came around to a kid-free idea. Sister, not the asshole. Now my fiance comes from a large family and still has 6 siblings under the age of 18. Their ages are between 16 and 9. He said early on, if we are doing a child-free wedding, we are not making exceptions for anyone. However, when we told his parents the kids weren't invited, they were quick to snap back and say we were out of line for not including them. We explained ourselves and explained how we wanted them to actually enjoy the night rather than worry about kids all night. Okay. I mean, it does get more complicated. 2 of his siblings are tube-fed, nonverbal, and do not do well with crowds of people. That definitely took a turn. His parents fought on Can I say something though? I feel like this is kind of a jerk move for the fiance to say. Also, it's her, unless I'm misreading this, okay? It's their wedding, and they can kind of do whatever they want. But not inviting your fiance's like really ill siblings because you think they're gonna have a bad time puts you on a moral low ground for sure. Like, if I get that it's your wedding, you should get whatever you want, but they just want to like watch. If anything, if you could make a situation to make it a little easier for them to watch, or less, less triggering for them, that might be for the best. Anyway, sorry, let me keep reading. It just keeps getting more complicated. We explained ourselves, explained how we wanted to enjoy the night. They brought up his older sister, who just had a baby, needs to be able to bring her child. We once again said no. At least they are sticking with their principles and not making exceptions. That gives them some moral consistency, at least. We sent out invites and made sure to list 2 seat on his parents' invitation. Once again, we are at war and are being told we're wrong. We have already told other family members no children permitted, and we don't want to look like we're picking and choosing which kids can come. So are we the assholes here? This is something where I think let's read the edit. I'm seeing a lot of comments about inviting kids to the ceremony and not the reception. And while that, in a perfect world, which obviously we don't live in because we're at war, would be a great compromise, this is a destination wedding. Also, they do have their own care providers for the kids, and they've traveled with them before when they did family vacations, or they just have the... Wait, hold on. So it's not just driving to the church, going to the banquet hall, and then going home to your kids that night. You're flying to Cancun or like Cabo San Lucas or something like that, and you're either leaving your kid at home in the States, at which point you've got, like, I don't know, either family or like a live-in babysitter for a few days, or you're paying for a plane ticket to fly your kids to the destination wedding, at which point they can't go to the wedding. It sounds like they want to go... Oh, wait, hold on. They did family vacations or just have the older kids help out. It sounds like they want to go for the latter for this trip, so it's totally possible they're not having it. This is crazy. I mean, I think you can be in the right and still be an asshole, if that makes sense. I think on your wedding, that's a day where you and your spouse can choose. You can experience the day however you want it, But as soon as you start wanting other people to come, a little bit of compromising is in order if you want them to come and be happy about it. But at the end of the day, you do have, the final say on what's acceptable at your wedding and what's not. So if you want to have a complete child-free wedding, then by all means. A child-free destination wedding where you want other people to come and just figure out a way to deal with their kids for like a few days. I mean, that seems like that would be one of the easiest no's of my life, I guess, is what I would say. My personal philosophy, and not everybody is going to agree with this, but is like, you should make the wedding is about you and your spouse and a celebration of that. But you also want people to jump through like as few hoops as possible to be there, if that makes sense. Like, I am on a razor's edge to saying no to just about any social engagement at all. If I got invited to a wedding, I'd be like, great, let's go. If they were like, you got to wear a suit, I'd be like, fine. If they were like, it's a Willy Wonka themed wedding and we'd prefer the suit would be purple, I would be like, I got plans that day, I'm sorry. There's like you can add in like 1 or 2 conditions. Everybody has to wear slippers. I'll be like, oh, that's kind of cute. And funny glasses. I'm like, no, thank you. And this is 100 times worse than that. This is just an asshole wedding. The final verdict is asshole. I can't believe there's a no assholes here. But anyway, but it doesn't. I think it makes them an asshole, but simultaneously, again, they have the right to do whatever they want to do, right? Like, that being said, you can still be an asshole. Like, you could yell really loudly into your cell phone in like a quiet restaurant. It's not illegal, but you're kind of the asshole. You already know the demo. It's not the asshole because, like, it's your day. And also on Reddit, people are like, I hate kids. Like, I get that. Look, I'm an only child. So, you know, I've been able to be very flexible or inflexible my whole life because, like, you know, whatever I want to cook myself for dinner, especially as an adult, I was like, I'm good. But, like, if you got, like, 9 siblings or something, 6 siblings between 9 and 18, like, you might have to make some compromises if you want your family to be a part of your big day. Like, I know the way people would look at this is like, oh, the sister, what a bitch, she just had a baby, and now she wants to bring her baby to the wedding, and it's going to maybe cry, and it's going to ruin my day. Okay, I mean, babies do be crying. There's no doubt about that. But as someone who just had, like, a newborn less than a year ago, you know, especially in the first couple of months when they're out, they need to, like, you know, they need to be around the parents at all times. They might cry for sure, but, you know, they poop 10 times a day. They, you know, need to nurse constantly. So, like, if you want your sister to come to the wedding, you're going to also need to allow the baby to be there. It's not like she's just going to leave it at the hospital or something. Which, can I say, this is another great reason to invite like 6 people to your wedding. It really simplifies the problem. My wedding was like me, Kate, and our parents, and Kate's grandma. That's it. It was easy. No babies, because there was nobody of a baby age even involved with it whatsoever. We had a child-free wedding. What we didn't do is be like, you know, let's invite 100 people and tell them they can't take their newborns. Anyway, I don't know. Bad person. Asshole? I don't know. Am I the asshole for villainizing my husband? Deleted. Okay. Am I the asshole for refusing to pay property tax on a condo I have no legal ownership of? For this to get 500 upvotes, there must be something juicy here. Because it seems like such an obvious no. Oh no, I got to the main thread again. Am I the asshole for refusing to pay property tax on a condo I have no legal ownership of? A little context, my wife and I received a very large sum of money from her parents to use as a down payment on a new property. Hey, call off the dogs. Call off the dogs, Chad. We don't know yet. Don't judge them based on the fact that they received help from their parents. We should be happy for them until they get interviewed by Bloomberg about how to pay for their home. And you won't believe how this 24-year-old paid off her student loans. I, ate ramen noodles for every meal. I made sure to get day-olds from the donut shop so that I didn't have to buy any donuts. And also my parents gave me $750,000. Until they do that, we don't judge them. We're happy for them. We'd all like to be in the same situation. I wasn't in a financial position to commit to a mortgage because I'm a student. Okay. 3 words later or something like that, I'm already like, if your wife's parents give you money for a down payment, you gotta use it to buy a house. That's the catch, okay? I don't know if that's where it's going. It sounds like they got a lot of money to make a down payment, and then he was like, I don't want to get into that sort of commitment, and I'm hoping he didn't buy like a bunch of booba coin or something. But while I have a little bit of income through scholarships and part-time work, it's nowhere near enough to commit to that kind of purchase. My wife decided if I didn't want to commit to a mortgage, she would just buy the property herself and use the income from her other property that her parents bought for her that she rents out to pay for the new condo. Okay, I regret putting myself as a human shield here. My own personal thoughts notwithstanding, I think it let him have it. So, I don't feel comfortable paying a mortgage myself personally. Oh, that's fine. Well, I'll just buy it then, and I'll use the income from the other suite to pay off the mortgage. It's called pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, sweetie. The condition to this was that I had to sign away my legal ownership of the new property, as I would not be paying for it. I agreed. We already have a prenup, that this just continued to the trend of keeping our finances separated. After closing on the property and moving in, my wife informed me she needs me to start paying the property tax as a form of rent for me living there with her. Hold on. So this is when two libertarians get married. I'm trying to put myself into the mindset, okay? I'm trying to get myself in their shoes. I don't even understand the situation, okay? So we have wife. Wife has rich parents. The parents bought wife income property. Okay. I'm on the level right now. They also gave wife and husband the money to buy or to pay for a down payment on their own house to live in. Okay. Husband said, that's a lot of commitment. I don't want to be a part of that. Wife said, I'll just buy it and I'll pay the mortgage with the income that the other people are grinding themselves to the bone for from my income suite. All right. But husband and wife are living in property too. All right, I understand. Now, wife wants husband to pay rent in the form of property tax as penance for living in the house. Can I tell you something? Despite what I just said, and despite the fact that it's insane to ask your husband to pay rent, I'm actually like almost a little bit on her side, just because like they are both living in the place, and she, whether or not she's earning the money, she is taking part of her income to pay the living expenses for both of them in a house that they share. It does sound, oh, I'm getting -2 out the gourd. Wait, okay. Immediately chat raised like 17 good points. One of them is he doesn't have any legal ownership. That is true. Because he doesn't have legal ownership, why should he have to pay for any part of the house? Well, because he lives in it, but then that's not your wife. That's just the landlord. Which you could kind of have a little of both, but it's weird. It is a little weird, yeah. I don't know. Let's see where this goes. It's spicy already. Anyway, after closing on the property, my wife informed me I need to start paying the property tax, as it is the form of rent for me living there with her. And while we've been splitting rent our whole relationship, it rubs me the wrong way that she had me give up ownership on the property, but then expects me to help pay for the property. The money going towards the taxes may as well be going towards the mortgage. Well, sir, I can see you're not an accounting student, because even if you're paying a mortgage, you are definitely also paying your property tax still. But, you know, I digress. I'm just saying it's not an apples to apples comparison. At that point, what is the point of me giving up ownership instead of just owning the condo together? FFS, we've been married for years. I feel like I'm being financially exploited. I don't make much money over the summer since I'm not attending summer classes, and she knew that going into it. But in order for her to cover what she owes to the bank, she even demanded that I give her the $300 my parents gave me for my birthday. Bruh. Oh, no. When your girl boss, wife, landlord demands your birthday money you got from your parents, Oh man. Um, am I the asshole for refusing to pay? Um, this is a tough one. Let's read more. Previously, when we were splitting rent, we each paid $1,100. When she agreed to buy the condo, I agreed to pay for the insurance and all the utilities. Okay. She wants me to pay her $1,400 every month on top of all the utilities, splitting food, etc. Where on earth is your property tax is $1,400 a month? This is like $18,000 a year property. I mean, when you put it that way, and the fact that they paid $2,200 for rent, I mean, I guess maybe they just live in like an expensive city. Yeah, and then property tax is high, and maybe their place is worth like 7 or 8 or 9 or $1 million or something like that. Anyway, that's a lot. In Vancouver, property tax is disgustingly low. Like unless you have like a vacant property. I mean, for you to be paying $1,400 a month, I think you would need to own like a $9 or $10 million house. But which is why I always laugh when people here complain about property tax. They're like, I gotta pay like $3,000 a year for my $5 million house. It's crazy. Anyway, long story short, let's keep it going. I feel like I need to explain better. This should be good. I'm still stunned that their property tax is $1,400. Anyway, whatever. I was never expecting to not pay anything. We each have separate bank accounts, but also a mutual bank account. She uses her personal account for the rental income from her other property. I use my personal account for my disability income from the VA. Any income that I would have saved by not paying rent would be put in one of the joint accounts. My problem is that this is taking money from our joint bank account and putting it into her personal account to then be transferred to the bank for the mortgage or to pay property taxes or whatever the else, my brain is dead. Whatever the hell else she wants to do with it. Well, look, I don't have this situation. So it's hard to relate to. We basically just pool everything. And this is very complicated. I mean, I think this is one of the reasons that, like, I wouldn't want to do this. Because it seems kind of like there's a weird accounting system and also, like, maybe a power imbalance as a result of it. It's just it is a very weird energy for a married couple. I'm not saying you can't keep your finances separated to some extent when you're married, but also, like, isn't there like legally speaking, whatever they're doing, isn't it just because they have a prenup? Never mind. Okay. I was gonna say, like, I mean, you can keep your finances as separate as you want, but I'm pretty sure, like, after you've been married for 6 months, in the eyes of the law, it's 50-50, depending on where you live. But then again, I also don't know that. Either way, I'm like, I do understand what the guy is saying in the sense that it sucks that he is not going to be getting any equity, but is expected to pay the property tax. However, I do also, and this is merely from a business standpoint. This is ignoring the fact that they're married. But, like, she is paying. I know that technically it's the tenants that she has that are paying, or her parents, but if you treat her as an entity financially, she is paying for the living arrangement. Now, she's getting equity out of it as well. It sounds like she would rather be, like, I mean, just my 2 cents. I would like to think that if I had this relationship, I would be like, you're my husband, I'm not going to charge you rent. But apparently, she is a ruthless objective capitalist, and she goes over the balance sheet and the income statement every month, and then goes, hey, this freeloader he's taking $1,400 a month out of my pocket. He's trying to live here without, helping us out at all. You know what? You're absolutely right. It sounds like he should move out and then expose himself to the free market of rental inventories and see if he can get a better deal. And then maybe if he gets an agreement for that, he can bring it to his wife/landlord and be like, are you willing to match this offer? I'm not willing to pay you $1,400 a month for the property tax. However, I did just find a studio apartment across town for $900. If you're willing to meet me in the middle and you match that offer, then I would be happy to consider it. Two can play that game. Anyway, they're kind of like, I don't know if this is everybody sucks here. I got to read some replies, but I'm like, I do love that. I hate to be this guy. This is like a huge punch down, but I'm going to do it anyway because I never learn. But like, you're married to somebody, you're in your late 20s, and she's like, hey, could you give your parents the money your parents gave you for your birthday to help with the household expenses? And he's like, this is outrageous. I get it, you're on a fixed income and your parents have given you some money for fun. But like that's part of being an adult and having some responsibilities. I told her no. Anyway. Not the asshole. Your wife inherited family funds to acquire the property and has paid the mortgage with the income from the other separate property. A demand for you to pay the property taxes would in fact constitute a commingling of funds on the condo, and it would become a marital property. This may be a lawyer. I refuse to argue with them. They said the word commingle and marital property. That makes sense, though. It definitely seems like if you pay the property tax on a house, you are entitled to some equity. However, simultaneously, all that means, I think, is that the wife needs to pay the property tax, but then just draft a separate arrangement to start charging rent. She needs to get him to sign a lease. Instead of being like, hey, I need $1,400 a month for property tax, she needs to be like, I'll pay the property tax, but rent is $1,400 a month. What do you mean I'm the ass? I'm just trying to separate the legalese here, okay? Hold on. I was coming to say you're the asshole until I saw what she's asking you to pay. Property taxes on my house are $4,000 a year, so I was thinking on a condo she's asking you to pay under $2,000 a year, which would be reasonable since you don't pay rent. $1,400 a month for property taxes, though? Is the condo on Mount Olympus? Otherwise, she's trying to get you to pay your mortgage for a place you have no legal claim to. And you're already covering all the utilities? No, not the asshole. $1,400 a month. It stood out to me, too. Based on your update, sounds like she forgot about taxes when she did her budget and now wants you to pick up the slack. It's also rude to change the agreement and demand your birthday money. I know it's not fair. It's just the expression birthday money. When you're talking about somebody like over the age of 15 doesn't make it fun to laugh at, but it's just you don't hear it that much, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, IMO couples should have fair finances, not equal finances. If you make a third of what she does, you should pay 33% of shared expenses. No way in hell you should be paying more than she is. Well, yeah. Especially because she's got the equity. Not the asshole. Oh, wow. Okay. Now we're getting into straight up like legal situations. All right. I think we got time for one more. These have been pretty spicy. I wish that wasn't deleted, but I respect them. Am I the asshole for refusing to pay an artist for her work? The fact that this has come as a not the asshole is very intriguing to me. Oh, this is a long one. This is a long one. Oh, look at it. It's like 7 edits, dude. Okay, so I know this sounds bad. Am I the asshole for refusing to pay an artist for her work? I know this sounds bad, but I genuinely don't think I'm at fault here. So I'm currently planning to get my apartment repainted completely since I've just moved in, and all the walls happen to be white. I was talking to a friend about this when she told me, oh my God, did she paint some messed up stuff on the walls? I can't wait. I was talking to a friend about this, and he told me he had a friend who had just recently graduated art school and was really into wall painting. I told him I didn't want any wall painting done because I had already planned out most of the coloring scheme. I need to get to the point here real quick, but it's kind of a red flag, I think, when you're like, oh, I'm a painter. Oh, really? Like, what do you paint? Walls? I was expecting it to be like, watercolors or something like that. I didn't think walls. Anyway, he told me his friend was looking for places to practice wall painting because she's new to it and hasn't really found places she could do it without it being vandalism. So I called her up, we had a chat. I said, I don't mind letting you paint the walls of my bedroom because I'm busy for the next few days and it isn't a common living space. I checked with my painters, they told me they could easily paint over that. They're not free for a couple of weeks, so I haven't moved in yet, but I told him to ask his friends to go nuts in my room without scraping or causing any damage. I told her that her work would be painted over. She said she's simply doing it for the practice and wouldn't mind as long as she could take some pictures for her portfolio, and that I would be doing her a huge favor letting her practice. Okay. So far, this seems like a prelude to the classic statement, no good deed goes unpunished. You gain nothing out of it. She gains a practice studio. And then here's where it all goes wrong. So fast forward a couple weeks, I go to my room, and it's absolutely amazing with a bunch of designs and a lot of edgy art. So I decide I wouldn't get it painted over. Problem is, I have a contract with my painter and still have to pay him for my room, even if he doesn't do the job. I called her and told her the room was great and I'd be recommending her to anyone who asked who painted my room. She then, out of the blue, asked me how much I'd be paying her for the work. I told her about my painter situation, that I would have paid her the amount I was paying him if I didn't have a contract. She got mad and told me I was taking advantage of a young artist. She's literally 3 years younger. She said she'd sue me for payment, and I reminded her of our agreement. She said that was done on the basis I wouldn't be keeping it. I told her I was doing her a favor by giving her a place to practice. I never had any monetary obligation. She blew up at me and called our mutual friend, so I explained my situation, how I simply don't have the funds, but he thinks I'm an asshole too. So Reddit, am I the asshole? Did we have to have like a landlord one followed by like an artist not getting paid? Because like, I know that I'm on the chat side in this, genuinely in my soul. Sometimes there are little contextual details in these stories that make it something that can be argued over. It sounds like in the story, look, in principle, artists should be paid for their work. And in practice, they should be paid for their work and probably paid more than they are. That being said, if the arrangement was set up, you get to have a practice space. And I'm not good, because you, in some situations, you might even charge for a practice space. But anyway, I digress. And then you get paid in the ability to, hone your craft for however long. No other finances are exchanging hands. And then you ask for money later. That makes OP not the asshole. Now, because I'm like, is it King Solomon? The one that's like, there's two people that think they claim to be the mother of the baby. And then the one, they're like, okay, well, they split the baby in half. Like, I don't remember how the story ends. It can't be anything but a gruesome tale. But I'm like, well, it was under the impression that it was going to be painted over. So I do think that if the artist is not going to get paid, they still have the ownership of the art to the extent that they can force it to be paid over, or painted over, I should say. If you make something cool with your art to practice with, and then they decide, hey, like I want to keep it in my room now, I think you could be like, give me, a couple $100, or I'd really like you to paint over it because who knows, like one day this could be worth, well, I don't know. It's a ridiculous like argument to objectivism, but that was the terms of the agreement. So if you want to adhere to them, then we should adhere to them. You could also just pay it over to Spider, I guess, or paint it over. I don't know why I keep saying pay it over. I kind of look at it like, she might have, if you had originally drafted the agreement and the agreement was like, hey, you can practice in my room, I'll probably paint over it, but if it's good, I'll keep it. Then the artist might have been like, you know what? In that case, if you keep it, all I ask is that you pay me a couple $100 or whatever. If you paint over it, no big deal. I'm not going to charge you. But if you decide that you like it, please give me a tip or something like that. That would have solved this. But anyway, where the heck was I here? Edit. I never wanted my room to be painted by an artist and don't have the money to get it done professionally. Can I just say this is the reason you just say no to everything? Maybe this makes me a dickhead. There were times, occasionally, I'll get almost like a ridiculous request via email. Someone will be like, hey, can you hop on like a call for 10 minutes? We'll talk about this. 10 minutes is nothing. This is what I'm worried about. I'm worried that you're a damn liar and this quick 10-minute call is going to result in an email like 18 months from now that's like, my business failed thanks to you and now you're going to pay. Like this is why you should say no to almost everything, especially if it's not your idea. No good deeds remain unpunished. Anyway, moving on. I never wanted my room to be painted by an artist. I don't have the money to get it done professionally. I thought I'd keep it because it looks great, and I could recommend it to other people who saw it about her. Edit. I did not charge her anything for letting her use my walls for practice. Yes, neither of these make OP's case any stronger, I'd say. I didn't commission her to do it. I didn't even give her any guidelines except not to scrap the walls. This was supposed to be letting her practice and make a portfolio. I wasn't trying to con her. Okay, so I actually have a lot of sympathy for OP. Because there are people on Earth who have never left the confines of their bedroom, and all of their lived experience comes secondhand from reading things on the internet. And it's like you end up with these situations where there's absolutes, like literally you're trying to exploit this artist. And I can understand why she's probably getting way too many hate comments. That being said, these are not looking... these are not making her look any better. But anyway, I wasn't trying to con her, for fuck's sake. I thought it wouldn't hurt me to let her practice since I was going to be repainting anyway. I didn't originally plan on keeping the art. Yeah, but you kind of are now, though. You can see, like, you're simply leaving the door open just enough for her to have something to argue with. If you were just like, fine, I'm painting over, then I think it's okay. Then I think nobody would be like, you're the asshole. But I was thinking of paying her a token amount, whatever I can, but now I'm torn because I think that would actually give her grounds to sue. She does not have the right to claim ownership or intellectual property rights of the art right now. I checked, but I don't want to get myself into more hot water for trying to do a good thing. The painters were contracted. There's so many edits and are being paid for me reserving their time, at least from what I understand. It's too late to cancel any charges. Yeah, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just cut from a different cloth. I'm like, why even post the thread? I'll just paint over it. And the painters are going to be there anyway. Turn it into an NFT. Yeah, I think you have an ultimatum. I think you can pay her and keep it. That's the right thing to do. Or you can paint over it and be in the moral right and not pay her anything. And I think that's it. If you want to keep it, you should at least, like, you know, give her a little something. You don't have to, but you should. I think that OP is upset that she thought the artist would be flattered that she liked her work, but instead is now just a situation where it's like, you know, she didn't even say thank you that I want to keep her work. The verdict is not the asshole. I do think that's fair, though. Can I read some of these comments, please? Just give it a moment. What the heck is this? There's a shooting star on this comment? So she was happy to use the space for practice and no pay when she thought you'd be erasing it, and now you're keeping it. She wants compensation. That doesn't make sense to me. Like you said, you did her the favor of providing a blank space to work in, and since you're out of pocket for paying the painters for the room they aren't painting anymore, I'd say not the asshole. She is still getting her portfolio piece, and you'll be advertising. Look, I don't think it's that bad. I do agree in principle. The thing is, like, no other, like, services have changed hands. It's a strange thing, but it's like, you know, here's the situation, okay? And this is the worst analogy, but I'm laughing my ass off thinking about it. Imagine you had like 2 bites of your sandwich left, right? And then you were like, hey, can you throw this in the garbage for me? And then you handed it to someone, and then they ate it instead of throwing it in the garbage. Would you be like, oh, no harm, no foul? Yes, that's what I would do. Is it possible that someone would be like, are you going to pay me 50 cents for those 2 bites of sandwich? Because I was of the impression that you were going to throw it in the garbage, destroying it for both of us. But instead, you ate it and thus are receiving some value from it, even though it fundamentally didn't change what I thought was going to happen to the sandwich in the first place. Don't you think it's fair that I get some compensation for the value that you've derived from this? I don't know. I actually don't know. But it's a funny situation. It could be a good sketch comedy show when you think about that. Oh no. This right here, OP. Simply tell the artist to make her happy you'll be repainting the room. Then take as much time as you need to decide what would be even better than the paint that you have right now. A year to malicious compliance. Everyone on Reddit is like, being a good person and like making the situation happy for everybody if possible, that would be great. But you know what would be even greater? Owning somebody on a petty technicality. Keeping their art and also not paying them because they didn't read the fine print on the contract we didn't sign. First, I would wish for more wishes. Hold on. Oh my. What happened here? How do you collapse comments on old Reddit? Click the line to the left to erase. You click on this thing? Yo. I came here prepared to vote you're the asshole, but after reading, I would say not the asshole. The initial agreement was she can use your walls for practice and afterwards use the photos. That hasn't changed, and you keep by you deciding to keep the paintings on the wall. I think that's fair enough. Hey, I would think about giving her a tip for a job well done, but that would be totally voluntary and not part of the initial agreement. I agree with that. I think that OP has done nothing wrong except violating perhaps an unspoken social norm of, hey, you did a nice thing for me and I'm going to keep it, so, here's a little bit of money. Similarly, the artist should probably not threaten to sue. But maybe this is why contracts exist in the first place. It's all unspoken rules that are causing all these problems, but